Hey, it's Christine Gritman here with Social. I do this show every week where I talk to one of my smart friends about something relating to social media, digital marketing, business, all these great things. And today I'm excited. I have a repeat guest. I have Lauree Ostrofsky of Simply Leap and Hudson Valley Women in Business. Welcome, Lauree.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yay! And last time we talked a year or two ago about how women do business differently, which is the point of Hudson Valley Women in Business, which I have this beautiful mug for that I'm holding. And today we're going to talk really more about your zone of genius here, which is taking the leap. And I did a social media post earlier that pointed out that the titles of your two books really sum it all up. So let's start with you telling us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. About the titles of my books?
Yeah, and about what they're about and then what you're about.
Yeah, sure. So my first book is called I'm Scared and Doing It Anyway, and it's a memoir about being diagnosed at 28 with a brain tumor.
Wow.
And kind of when life throws you a curveball, which I think the longer we live, it's more likely to happen, that something in our lives happens that we are not expecting, whether it's job loss or a change in a relationship or in this case, a medical challenge. It's what we do about it that's important as much as what's happening in that moment. So that was really my first book, and the reason why I built it was because I wanted my clients to understand that I get it, that I get that it's scary, I get that doing anything new, being in any new situation is frightening, and doing it anyway doesn't mean we have to be fearless. It means that we have to find a relationship with fear that allows us to keep going.
I really like that, a relationship with fear, because you're not going to get rid of it. You just have to figure out how you're going to work together. And I'm curious because I'm scared and doing it anyway. So for your experience, obviously what you were scared of is who wouldn't be scared of a brain tumor. Yeah. What was the it that you did? How did you use this as an impetus into action?
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the question. What I did was actually the way the book is, it talks about the tumor itself, but then it also talks about how I reinvented my career and started this business. And so it kind of there's so many different it's, but what I did was I made a choice from within a hospital bed. So within the hospital bed where I felt like I had no control, I looked around and said, what do I actually have control over here? Not everything, but a few things. One is how I reacted to the situation. The second was who I surrounded myself with, who was in the room with me. And the other was choices that I can make out of it. The doctors that I worked with, the treatments that I pursued, those were Those were the things that I had control over. And I feel like that is true for any fear or any discomfort that we're moving through. Paring it down to and focusing on what do we actually have control over? What is even as small as what we have control over, start there.
That's incredible. And so you made a decision to launch this business. What is this business? Tell us about how your experience and your fears led you to see what you needed to do going forward.
Yeah. So you had asked about both my books, and my second book is called Simply Leap, which is the name of my business. Mm-hmm. And what I realized actually within that hospital bed years ago was that I really wanted to help people understand what kind of power we all have. So even within a hospital bed, I knew that I had certain power over certain things, which is what I described. And with that power actually was really powerful. I healed myself from within that hospital bed. I changed the relationships with the people in that hospital, with my nurses, with my family, based on focusing on what I could control and letting go of what I couldn't. And I realized that if I could change that when it came to a brain tumor and relationships and from within a hospital bed, what's possible for all the rest of us in kind of quote unquote normal life, in our careers and our businesses. So that's how Simply Leap started.
That's incredible. And to your point about what's stopping the rest of us, what in theory could have been stopping you is clear, right? You had a brain tumor, you were in a hospital bed. What are some of the things you see that are stopping the rest of us?
Oh gosh. I think one of the big ones, so I tend to work with A students, people who were really comfortable in third grade in the structure and accountability that school really provides.
Smarty pantses.
Yeah. Well, and also like we like to do well and we like to know what's required in order for us to get to the next level. And especially as business owners, it's not really clear what the next level is. Like we're kind of creating it as we go. And so I think that that's one of the things that can stop us. Not knowing exactly how we're going to get there, kind of having idea of what we want, but not really knowing all the steps and not really knowing if it's going to work. Like knowing I can try, but like try is not assured, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a sure thing. And I think that most of us stop because it isn't yet a sure thing and it's really scary.
That's true. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of making fools of ourselves. We're afraid of being broke.
Right. We're afraid of, or we're not sure what all the steps are. So why try? Or I'm not sure what's going to happen after I make that phone call, or how I'm going to get, for instance, that business loan. Like what are the steps? And so if we don't know all the steps, then why start? Sometimes happens as well.
Absolutely. And I love the word that you use, leap. 2 words, really. 2 words that in combination make a huge impact, which are simply and leap. So how did you decide to go with leap? What type of action is leaping to you? Oh, and Skype crashed. I'm going to see if we can get Skype back. Those of you who were on my show with Michelle a few weeks ago saw that this happens sometimes, but I think we're going to get Lauree back on the actual computer. Sorry about that.
Hey,
I lost you. But we're going to keep moving right along. This is getting edited out of the podcast.
Awesome.
But I had said, so the 2 words, simply and leap. So what about the word leap? What does leap mean to you, and why did you go with that particular action word?
Yeah, so I guess I really want to talk about the 2 words together because I think that most people, when they hear simply leap, they think I'm simplifying it, like somehow it's going to be easy. And most leaps are treacherous and longer than we think they're going to be, and a challenge, and usually in a good way. So I think it's understanding that there are 2 kinds of leaping in my mind. One is leaping and then going, oh crap, I just leaped. What do I do now? And kind of. So I'm more of a.
When you're hovering in the air like a cartoon character.
Like, oh my God, I already did it. And I feel like I'm better if I force myself into the leap than if I overthink it, because I am a classic overthinker. So I usually leap first and then freak out after. But then some people freak out before, and want to put all their ducks in a row before they ever leap. And I think simply can really work in either of those instances to say we're all on the cusp of something. It's so likely that everyone watching this is on the cusp of something important that feels important to you. And simply means don't try to figure it all out. Figure out the next thing. Figure out what it is how it is that you want to feel when you get there. A general sense of what's at the end of this leap. Like, what am I aiming for? Is it a certain level of income? Is it a certain level of recognition? And then simply start. Simply start with the thing that's right in front of you. Have a conversation, make a phone call, make a list. I think that's why it's really important that both of those are together. Like, don't leap haphazardly. Sometimes we do, but that really isn't necessary for you to leap. It's really start wherever you are, and that still counts as a leap. All of those steps add up to the leap.
That's beautiful. It's all about always making forward motion. And I'm sure a lot of people get caught in the in-between of the big picture and the small picture. Because as you mentioned, having a visualization, having a feeling of what that big picture is, of that destination, is incredibly important. But then it's really the minute details that we can really get into and that can add up for a big impact.
Yeah, and it's those. Well, it's all the little steps that really add up together. Because I think the other kind of leap that can happen is kind of the surprise leap where we're just taking step by step. We have this idea and this goal in mind, but we're taking step by step. And then all of a sudden, most of my clients reach this point where they look back and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that was 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. I'm a different person now. I have a team. I have an income I wanted. I feel more confident. I feel clear. I know what I'm looking for. And I think sometimes it can be a surprise when all we're doing is, as you said, like the forward motion steps. And so I think that there's some trust in leaping too, that as long as we're making some kind of step, that we're actually going to get somewhere.
That's incredible. I love that. So you made an excellent point, which is that sometimes those small steps feel very small. If we really simplify it to that most basic level, it's by looking back that we can really see how far we've come. What are some ways that you've been able to use with people for them to understand those markers? Because the A students, right, there isn't a rubric. It isn't a test with right or wrong answers. We're carving our own journey here. So what are some indicators that are often helpful to people along the way?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that I do when I work with clients one-on-one is take stock regularly. So let's say once a month, I'll go back with them and say, do you realize where you were a month ago today? Or do you realize where you were 3 months ago today? And I think if we're tracking in some way, so whether that's, full-blown journal writing, or is it like a daily task list where you go back, I mean, most of us have to-do lists, and but we don't always go back. And so if there's even a regular date on your calendar where you just go back a month prior or 3 months prior and see, oh, wow, I'm in a different place now. This is where I am financially. This is the things I'm working on and thinking about, and how different it was back then. I feel like if we give ourselves even a 5-minute opportunity to look back a year ago, a month ago, we're going to see our own change. And when we see our own change, it means all those little steps coming forward are going to be easier to take, because we know then we have proof. Because we've looked back, we have proof that it's actually working.
That's incredible. That proof, those abilities to have those touchstones there, that's incredibly important, especially by someone who's used to achieving.
Yeah, because most of us, and I think our society works this way too, we're always looking forward. It's like, okay, I got here. Now I'm going to keep going. So, so another thing I do with clients is celebration, that we can pretty much celebrate anything, and we should. But I think when we take stock, it gives us an opportunity like, oh gosh, I'm a different person. I'm in a different place than I was before. I achieved it. Let's take a minute. Let's take an hour, a day, a week to say, yeah, I got here. And this seemed momentous when I set the goal a month ago or 6 months ago, but I'm here. So before I set the next goal, I look at the next mountain, be here now, and really enjoy it. Take stock of who you've become, and then look forward again.
I love that. And you've really incorporated that into your business group, Hudson Valley Women in Business, as well. One of the things that I really love about how you run it is it's a real live group, and there are real life events, but the Facebook group is really a great hub. And you do posts every single week where we have an opportunity to talk about what's working for us. Mm-hmm. We have an opportunity. I love how you phrase this. You don't just say, okay, promote yourself on Fridays on this thread. You put something more interesting and special into it about celebration, celebrating what's going on with you, celebrating what's going on with others. Talk to us a little bit about how you came to that and what you've seen happen with it.
Yeah, so I think, as we grew, we're nearly at 3,000 members now. So as you grow,
and yet it still feels so intimate.
I hope so.
It does.
I hope so. Thank you. And so, but as we grew, it's not like self-promotion could be just post whenever you want to. It really, anyone who curates a community knows that they have to curate in a way where people feel like they can participate, but also there's some kind of structure so it's manageable. And so we created these self-promotion Friday posts where everyone comments in the post. But I wanted to, as you said, keep it personal. Keep it that we're connecting with one another, because I feel the whole reason for our community, Hudson Valley Women in Business, is is that women do business differently, is that we approach business differently, that we are
Says
natural.
That on the back of the mug. Exactly. Women do business differently.
Exactly. Natural collaborators. We're natural collaborators and community builders. We don't have to figure it out ourselves. We don't have to feel like we're competing, even with people in the same industry as us. There's plenty of work for all of us. There are plenty of customers for all of us. And I feel like in promotions, it can feel like this lonely, like, I better get this right because this is my only chance. When we promote ourselves, oh my gosh, when we go to networking events, I better get this right. This is my only opportunity to meet this person. I better say it in the right way. Otherwise, I've lost or I've missed. And I think as an introvert, especially, that sets the bar way too high, puts too much pressure on it. And so I think Self-Promotion Friday is also a reminder that we're in it together, that we do business differently because we're in it together. Supporting each other lifts all, rising tide lifts all boats. You're doing well means I can do well. Me supporting you means you supporting me. And I think, isn't that really about what a community is, whether your hometown or the industry that you're working in, or an online community? If we feel in it together, we feel braver, which makes sleeping easier.
Absolutely. And I've experienced your work in the form of your weekday retreats that you've done. And I know that you're building that out to include a mastermind, and it's fantastic. I've really loved to watch the organic growth of this group. But one of the things that I've really found very powerful about your weekday retreats, and I'd love to hear what you feel is most powerful about them as well. But a couple things I found really powerful is we really are all rooting for and supporting each other at that table. And a lot of those times, all of us at that table are strangers. We aren't familiar with each other as people or as businesses necessarily. Sometimes there's someone who knows each other. But generally speaking, we come in there fresh, and yet there is automatically, instantly around that table at the beautiful...
the Foresight. RVD, yes.
There's instantly a sense of helping each other. We're not just there for ourselves. We're not just there to see what we need to see, because it's so much easier to see where other people could go.
Yeah.
What's awesome about other people, their path forward becomes instantly clear to us when we're in that mindset. It's our own that we need to work on. And I love the fact that the type of people who you bring around that table are all in for that. And we've helped each other. I've worked with people who I've met at your retreats before, and it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I also really love the fact that it's not about setting out a huge mapped out tactical plan. It's about, as you said, where do you want to go, really see it, really define it, and what are some simple tweaks you can do that are just going to get that ball rolling.
Right. You don't have to figure it all out right now.
And you're not telling us what to do. You're guiding us there. So what do you find powerful
I do a little
about
telling
these?
you what to do, but you're right. So there's the guidance of, I think it's really important. I think as a community leader, depending on who you have in your, in your viewing audience, as a community leader, I think we have really important things that we have to do. One is to empower each other. We don't have to, actually, as business owners too, we have to empower our customers that they are making good choices. And luckily, we are one of those good choices. Because if you feel good about yourself, having heard from me, then you're going to come back. And if you believe that I believe in you, then why wouldn't you want to keep working with me? And I think that the other thing I work really hard at is using the word community. So from the beginning, we may have talked about this before, but from the beginning, when Hudson Valley Women in Business was just a Facebook group, I never, ever call it a Facebook group. Nope. It's now much more than that, but I've never referred to it as that. I've always referred to it as our online community. One, because the platform can change, but two, because something changes in us, in our like DNA, when we hear the word community as opposed to group. So group is something that you can like dabble in or kind of get what you need from. Community means that I am a contributor as much as I am a receiver. And I think also as women, we tend to contribute more than receive. And so it's kind of important that that is set up. And I also am really I really curate who's around the table. It's really important that everyone around the table is a giver and a receiver. And as you know, as I begin every weekday retreat with rules, one of the rules is to receive fully what people share around the table. The other is to listen fully to what's happening around the table, because someone else's aha moment may be actually yours, may relate to what you're doing. It's likely that I, as a leader, am not the one that's going to say something interesting. It's probably something around the table. So it's really important that we listen and contribute and be part of and aware to that circle. And I think that when we set, even as business owners or leaders, if we set that as a goal from the beginning, especially again as A students, we want to deliver. Like, that's something that we can do. I can listen. Yes. Okay. I can contribute to what's happening around the table. Okay. I can receive and write down what's happening here. It creates presence. And I think in a world, and especially social media, in a world where something is always happening, how we create presence in our lives or in the circles that we're creating as leaders and business owners is hugely impactful to the success of our businesses and to the connection we create.
Absolutely. As it's that balance of holding space, but also making sure we don't just stay in that space. We move forward from that space. We're able to honor it. We're able to honor that space that we're all in and that each other are in, and then move forward together.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to talk a little bit more about how people get stuck, because that's what prevents action. People get the I'm scared part, but it's the doing it anyway. So one thing that you mentioned is certainly breaking it down to just a step, just one thing, just make that call, just do that thing. And how do people get in their own heads and prevent that? Because it sounds so simple, but as you know, it's anything but.
Yeah, and I think I said before about how it can feel like we have to have it all figured out, that we have to have all the answers before we start. There's also a comparison that happens, like everybody else has figured it out before me, or I can't possibly ask a question because I'm probably supposed to know the answer. And that is debilitating. If you feel like you can't ask, then you're never going to be able to move forward. So I would say one of those first actions, and probably continually are doing this, we have to ask. We have to ask for, how did you do this? Or what would be the first step you would take? Or, find mentors in our lives and in our businesses where we can figure out what the right next step or a couple of the next steps are. So I think that one of the things that can hold us back is that we have to know the answer. The other one is that we have to have all of the answers before we even start. And neither one are true. They're just fear. They're just fear trying to keep us safe. And we're going to be okay. The other thing is that will I be exposed? Will everybody dislike me? Or will I get it wrong and then everybody see me getting it wrong? There's this... I have to hide in the corner till I have it figured out before I put it out in the world. And actually, we're never going to figure it out. Even our social media post or blog post or whatever, we're never going to figure it out until we put it out there.
Your ducks will never be in a row.
Yeah. And we have to start somewhere. And the truth is also, we don't know what people are going to respond to. We have to put out a lot of stuff. There's a lot of spaghetti that's getting thrown at the wall before we figure out what's the thing that sticks. Like, for instance, my weekday retreats started out as people coming to me in the community saying, I really want to retreat. Okay. And then I researched a place and I researched where we were going to go. And I picked a weekend because I don't know about you, but I always thought retreats happened on weekends. And then nobody went. Nobody picked up. Everyone's like... Right. And as a business owner, that feels like failure, right? So you have to have a conversation with yourself. Be like, I'm not failing, I'm learning. And
I'm not failing, I'm learning. I like that.
Exactly. I consider it research. So when you feel like that's the easiest way to keep taking action, consider it research. Because if you feel like I have to get it right or wrong, like it's right or wrong, or that it has to be a plan and I have to know all the steps, then it leaves it takes away the opportunity for creativity. So research kind of opens it up. But what I realized was everyone was saying no, because they wanted to go, but it was like family obligations and soccer games and things. And it was just like, it's really hard to give away a weekend. Also craft markets and people are working. And so instead I was like, oh, well, what about a weekday, and not just a weekday, but what if it was timed after kids went on a bus and before kids got off a bus? Like, what if it was really timed around that? So that way it was actually working hours. And that's why the name Weekday Retreat is really clear, because I want you to feel like, oh, I'm taking time off from my business in order to work on my business, but it works within my personal life and my needs and requirements as well. And I think that only happened because of research and not saying, oh, I failed at the retreat thing, so we should never do it again.
Yes, that's powerful. That's especially powerful for me to hear, because I've had a lot of events that seemed like there's something that my community wanted, and then I've had to cancel them because there weren't enough people taking that action to actually sign up for them, even if it's something they said they wanted. So it's a matter of just studying that data. That is data.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
That is crucial data. Real quick, I just want to ask, so you told us your story about how you came to start the coaching practice. What were you doing before?
Oh, my background's in marketing and media relations and PR, and it was just, and it was funny because I had worked in that for about a decade or so, and then realized I felt like it wasn't fulfilling in that way. Like I was decent at it, but I felt like I wanted to do more, and then the brain tumor happened, and that made more sense of like, oh, but I could help people feel empowered. And feel like they could be more brave. Like, gosh, that feels like life purpose. That feels like something I was just so drawn to do. And then I realized, oh, actually, I'm going to have to do marketing every day. Like I thought that like I was never going to do it again. And then I realized, oh no, actually you have to do it more. And now you have to talk about yourself. So it took a while for me to, in my head, transition to be like, okay, so you're going to do most of your favorite parts about marketing, but you're going to have to talk about yourself almost in third person. Like I'm talking about this other person who looks a lot like me and who runs this company over here. So then it doesn't feel selfish. It feels like, oh, I'm working on another, PR client. Like
you're
a
client, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're also great at talking about the client. You're really, really good at making it about the person who's receiving your message. And that's another great way to do it. That's why it resonates.
Right. Oh, their success is our success for sure.
Yes. Had you worked with a coach before at that point?
Oh, I have worked with a coach throughout. I continue to. I think that what it makes me a better coach. I worked with therapists and coaches, and the reason is because when I experience it, I don't know if you feel this way about your work as well. When I experience the guidance from somebody else and I have an experience about it, when I have a feeling about it and a response to it, I know better what response and experience I'm looking to create for my customers and my clients. And so it's been so important, and it's really good to get stuff out of our own heads, right?
Yes.
Like we're helping our clients do that. We might as well do it for ourselves. And so having a trusted advisor, having someone to talk it through with is really, really important. And develop my skills as a coach. I think it's really important for us to continue to reinvent and learn and grow.
That's really huge. I'm drowning all day in other social media strategists' content because I'm learning from them and I'm getting better because I know them. We're not an island.
Well, so I want to say something about that too, because I think that there's a balance between some and too much.
Yes.
So there's like, okay, we could be an island, exactly as you described. Like I'm just working on my business. I'm helping my clients and staff, or I'm, what you said, drowning in like taking it, because there's always new information, especially in social media. There's always something changing and new information coming through. And I think that, so when I write a book, I'm writing my next book now. And when I'm writing a book, I don't read a lot in that same genre because I don't want to hear other people's voices when I'm really trying to figure out what my own voice is in this new topic. And so I'll read like YA fiction, which is I'm not at all writing. I'm writing nonfiction. I'm writing about how women do business differently and around marketing and how we talk about money and how we can empower ourselves more to be money makers and good natural marketers. And then that means I'm not reading books about marketing. I'm not reading business development books because they're important, but because too much, I know, external voices then get in the way of me figuring out, well, what's my unique take on this? And I think as business owners and leaders, we have to understand that we need to be our own kind of leader. So to me, I really try to balance out the information I'm collecting. I don't want to be alone in it, but I balance out also with the information I'm collecting because I think it's really important to know that what you have to share, what you uniquely have to share and do is what we need.
I love that. Balancing being open to listening from the outside and balancing being open to just listening to ourselves. That is huge. Well, that seems like a great place to leave this. Thank you so much, Lauree.
Such a pleasure.
I love being a part of your Hudson Valley Women in Business group. In fact, this mug is by Crafty as a Mother, HV, who's a member of the group. My earrings, by the way, today are by another member of the group, Lisa Cullen of LC Studios.
She's awesome.
So rocking all the Hudson Valley Women in Business love. Again, I'm Christine Gripman. I do this show every week where I interview someone else very smart about something that will benefit all of us. So thank you for joining me, and make sure to like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, wherever you're listening to this. I really hope that it brought you value today, and thanks very much.